why are your gardening tools not cutting as the way you want them to?
Oh yes, please. I take two. I'm only going two. I'm only two. Oh yes, please.
So yeah, gardening tools. And why are they not behaving as you want them to? Most of the times, it's not due to that they are dull or not sharp. However, let's quickly cover the how to sharpen gardening tools before we dive into the other aspects of why they don't cut properly. First of all, most gardening tools will have an edge like this, a 90 degrees meeting in, or an angle meeting in on 90 degrees. Most of the gardening tools will have this. The shears and the, branch cutters also have the same type of edge, while a hedge trimmer might have a different type of meeting because it has two cutting sides and not just one cutting side, if it makes sense. So, and also like a hedge trimmer would probably have, most of you, if you have a hedge trimmer, would probably have a S curve in the blade on both sides. This is just to grab more, to get more cutting surface. However, when it comes to sharpening gardening tools, it can be, since it's so tight in here, it could be hard to get your whetstone in. However, you still can, if you want to do sharpening your tools, gardening tools with the whetstones, you can absolutely do it. It's only that sometimes you're gonna find it hard to fit. I only have this big whetstones, but of course you can get them smaller. But sharpening the flat side might be easy because it's just 90 degrees and repetition. However, this side can be a bit more trickier to fit in the stone or find a good way to sharpen it. So I say there's a couple of options you can do. Either, if you're lucky enough to have a Leatherman, not sponsored, a Leatherman, this is a Wave, and I had this Leatherman for over 20 years and it's still performing as new. And on this Leatherman Wave, there's you have a file, just a normal metal file, and on the other side is a diamond dust file, which, just because it's thinner, will automatically give you more space in between the jaws, so to speak, which means that you can fit your, it's easier to find because you fit underneath everything, right? And this is just a Leatherman. Of course, you can do a normal file if you have it, but I recommend to have a file that has a diamond dust surface, because it's just it gets super sharp and it doesn't take many strokes to get your gardening tool sharp. As I said, it's not so important to have them super sharp like a knife, but it helps. The other suggestion I would have is to get a round file, and this is a file for my chainsaw that if I hand sharpening the chainsaw, I have this round file. And this is also very good for gardening tools, because it will fit in everywhere, and it's, once again, it's skating motion, and it will fit in on all the tools. Like especially this one, when you can open it up, and here also you can probably fit in a whetstone, although it's heavier and harder to work with. So a round file or a flat one, and I would recommend a flat file with diamond dust. Now, when it comes to edges with an S, same thing here. It opened up quite big, so you could fit in your, if you have a whetstone, and skate it over as well. But it's gonna be hard since it's so big and you can't really see behind it when it's the the blade is curving a bit. Is hard. So here again, I would recommend to use either a diamond dust file to just make sure that you're actually hitting the edge of it. And here again, a round file is really good because it just follows everything. And once again, you have one side to sharpen and a second side to sharpen. And the second side, as I said, could be easier to just, or the flat side could be easier to just use a whetstone to make it straight or sharpen it straight. So yeah, now when you've gone through the trouble of sharpening up your tools and it's still not cutting, you're wondering, what did I do wrong? Probably nothing. Probably what's happened with your tools is that your jaws have started to separate. And once again, this is exaggerated movements. But as soon as they're starting to separate, now this is very big gap, but just to show you, when that happens, it doesn't cut anymore. It's just pushing the cut side into the wood and holding the other side and leaving the gap side not cut, so to speak. And this is a super simple operation. It's just to find a key that fits to the nut and then tighten it up a bit. And always these sides have a hold on, so it's just screwing on the other side or tightening the screw on the other side, and all of a sudden it's closing tight. However, you can also encounter, this is more perhaps true for a branch cutter. You can see there are still a bit of gaps. I need to tighten this up a bit. However, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but the edge of that one, it's flaring out a bit. Which means that instead of, I've been cutting straight down, but when I cut too big of a branch or don't have more energy, I'm starting to separate the halves. So I'm pushing the back one way and pulling the other handle towards me, which is giving a stress to the tool itself. And if you add that stress, and every time you cut, the holding side or the blade side will start into wandering left or right, depending more. And the easiest way to fix this is just I would recommend to separate the two halves and then take a hammer and put the holding side on a flat surface and just straighten it out and make sure that when it lays flat, it stays flat on the cut side as well. Make sense? I think so. Now, also, I want to, if you're starting to take apart your tools, especially when it comes to cutters like this, be observant, because many of these tools will have a washer, a fine washer in between the two halves. And it's just to make sure that the two halves follow the roll together a bit easier with that washer in between. So it's going to be easier for you to cut. So may just be observant if your tool has it, that it doesn't fall off and it's supposed to be there, and you're going to put yourself into more problems after you sharpened it and straightened the holding side. So all I'm saying is be observant if your tool has a washer in between the two halves. So to recap, if you have a whetstone, you can try it, but if the teeth or jaws are too small, it's going to be hard to fit it in. So I would recommend to get a flat file or a round file. The round file, in my opinion, would be the most easiest way to maintain sharpness, because you're just having your hand away from the edges, and it's also, the round file will always find the edge kind of good without you trying too hard. Even with the one on the hedge trimmer where the edge is curving, the round file will always find more or less follow the contour of the edge. And as I said, it's not so important that they're super sharp. It's more important that they're close together, like this one don't. So you can see one of the sides, the backside is bent, and I probably just cut too big of a things or try to whatever. So what I just need to do is unscrew this and flatten that part out with a hammer again, just to make sure that they close next to each other and not like that. Make sense? Yeah. So yeah, now when we covered how to sharpen your tools and make sure that the half's closing properly, the third and final tip I will give you is to coat your gardening tools when you put them away for a season, or if you're gardening all year round. Make sure that you put once in a while a coat of linseed oil. Linseed oil again. Linseed oil will help your tools maintain in good working condition, I would just say. It just helps the metal from preventing it from rusting, building up oxidation, but also making sure that the spring is not getting too much of oxidation or rust in between, so it stops working. It's just good maintenance. So coat your tools with some linseed oil before you're putting away for season, and they're gonna be like brand new when you take them out again for the next or upcoming season. And I think that's gonna be it for me this week. So bye bye, ciao now. To close easier. That's Catherine, my rooster. She always have the time to fuck you, rooster. So yeah, gardening tools. You might heading in. The neighbors know. Hey! Most of the garden tools has like this. Has like this. That's not how you say it. This is the last tip. So, Sunday again.